Look down at your own skin right now. That color was not an accident of nature. It was written by a war with the sun, a war that lasted 300,000 years, and it nearly killed entire generations of humans. Every single person alive today shares one secret. Every one of your ancestors had dark skin. Not most of them, not the majority, all of them without a single exception. 300,000 years ago in Africa, everyone was dark. There was no such thing as pale skin. No fair-skinned tribes existed anywhere on Earth. Something happened later that rewrote the human body. Something powerful enough to reshape entire continents of people. To understand it, you have to understand skin itself. Skin is not just a wrapper for organs. It is your largest organ, working constantly. One of its jobs is fighting off the sun. The sun sends invisible radiation called ultraviolet light. That light rips apart the chemical bonds in cells. It shreds DNA strand by strand, silently, endlessly. Enough damage over enough years becomes cancer, specifically melanoma, one of the deadliest cancers known. This is where melanin enters the story. Melanin is the pigment that colors human skin. It is also, quite literally, a natural sunscreen. The more melanin, the darker the skin appears. The darker the skin, the more radiation gets blocked. In equatorial Africa, under merciless overhead sun, this mattered enormously. Every day was a battle against invisible cellular damage. Dark skin was not a preference, it was survival. Evolution does not care what looks beautiful. It runs one brutal calculation over and over. Does this trait help you live long enough to reproduce? If yes, it stays. If no, it vanishes. Under the African sun, dark skin always won. But the sun had a second, crueler weapon. It did not just attack the skin's surface. It reached deep into the bloodstream itself. There, it destroyed something called folate, a vital nutrient. Folate is a form of vitamin B9. It plays one especially critical, unforgiving role. It builds the neural tube in growing embryos. That tube becomes the brain and spinal cord. Without enough folate in early pregnancy, disaster can strike. The neural tube can fail to close properly. The result is often catastrophic birth defects or miscarriage. Sometimes a woman doesn't even know she's pregnant yet. Ultraviolet light breaks folate down inside the bloodstream. In sun-drenched Africa, with no clothing or shelter, exposure was constant. Lighter-skinned women lost more folate to that radiation. More folate loss meant more failed pregnancies, more loss. So now 2 separate death sentences pointed at pale skin. One was cancer, slow and silent and deadly. The other struck pregnant women and their unborn children. Dark skin was not simply useful in Africa, it was essentially mandatory for the species to continue. So, if dark skin was this perfect biological shield, why change? Why did entire populations grow paler over thousands of years? The answer begins with movement, restless human movement outward. Between 70 and 100,000 years ago, humans left Africa. No single dramatic exodus, just slow generational drifting. Children wandered slightly farther than their parents had. Over centuries, humans spread through the Middle East, then into Europe, across Asia, eventually into the Americas. And as they moved north, the sky itself changed. Sunlight struck the Earth at a lower, weaker angle. It passed through far more atmosphere before arriving. Winters grew long, dark, and brutally overcast. The relentless sun of Africa simply wasn't there anymore. Suddenly, the dark skin that once saved lives became dangerous. Not from cancer. That risk had dropped sharply already. The danger now came from something else entirely. Vitamin D, a molecule the skin manufactures using sunlight. Skin is, in a very real sense, a solar panel.
It converts weak ultraviolet rays into essential vitamin D. And vitamin D is not some optional nutrient. It controls how the body absorbs calcium and phosphorus. Without it, bones cannot mineralize correctly at all. Children develop rickets, a disease that bends bones outward. It flattens skulls and stunts growth permanently. In adult women, it causes something even more terrifying, osteomalacia, a softening of the pelvic bones themselves. Soft, deformed pelvic bones make childbirth incredibly dangerous. Sometimes labor became simply impossible to survive. Women died in agony, their bodies failing at the worst moment. Now imagine a dark-skinned family in Northern Europe 40,000 years ago. Their melanin, so perfect in Africa, blocks needed sunlight here too. Their bodies cannot make enough vitamin D to survive well. Bones weaken, children grow up bowed and stunted. Mothers die bringing new life into a freezing world. The population quietly, brutally begins to decline. Evolution noticed, and evolution does not hesitate. Random mutations that reduced melanin began appearing naturally. People with slightly paler skin absorbed more usable sunlight. Their bones grew stronger, their children survived birth more often. Generation after generation, the average skin tone crept lighter. Not because of beauty, not because of choice, because in that cold, dim world, paler skin kept people alive. For decades, scientists assumed this happened slowly, gradually, over ages. Ancient DNA has completely shattered that comfortable assumption. Consider Cheddar Man, who lived in Britain 10,000 years ago. Genetic analysis published in 2018 revealed something startling. He likely had dark to medium dark skin and strikingly blue eyes, a combination that looks almost impossible to modernize. The pale skin we associate with Northern Europeans is shockingly recent. It spread widely only within the last 6,000 to 8,000 years. Out of 300,000 years of human history, that is nothing, less than 3% of the entire human story. So what changed 6,000 years ago to accelerate everything so fast? The answer is one of history's greatest turning points, the Neolithic Revolution, the shift from hunting to farming. Hunter-gatherers ate a rich, varied diet full of vitamin D, fatty fish, organ meats, shellfish, all naturally loaded with it. Farmers ate mostly wheat, barley, oats, and other grains instead. Their dietary vitamin D intake did not just drop, it collapsed. Suddenly, people depended entirely on their skin to make enough. If their skin was still dark, it simply was not enough. The pressure for lighter skin intensified with terrifying speed. Even tiny genetic changes toward paler skin became crucial for survival. Farming villages were also large, dense, and permanently settled. Beneficial mutations spread through crowded populations far faster than before. In a scattered band of 50 hunter-gatherers, change crawled slowly. In a farming village of hundreds, change could spread within generations. Diet collapse and dense populations together hit fast forward on evolution. What had taken tens of thousands of years suddenly sped up dramatically. Here is something that still surprises most people who hear it. Skin color is not controlled by a single simple gene. There is no one dark skin gene, no one light skin gene. Dozens of genes work together, shaping melanin production and distribution. And remarkably, different populations reached pale skin through different genetic paths. East Asians and Europeans both evolved lighter skin independently, but the genetic variants behind it are largely different between them. They arrived at the same survival answer by separate biological routes. This is called convergent evolution, nature solving one problem twice. When evolution reinvents the same trait independently, pay close attention.
It means that trait mattered enormously for staying alive. While we are here, consider something equally astonishing: blue eyes. Every blue-eyed person alive today shares one single ancestor. One person, one mutation near the Black Sea region. This happened roughly 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. Before that person existed,
Every human on Earth had brown eyes. Brown, only brown, stretching back through all of human history. Then one mutation reduced melanin production inside the iris. It spread slowly at first, then faster, tied to skin genes. Something we treat as ancient is younger than farming itself, younger than Stonehenge, younger than domesticated horses and wheels. Traits we assume are timeless are often shockingly recently new. Step back now and look at the entire human picture. Skin color has divided nations, justified cruelty, built false hierarchies. Yet at its core, it is simply a UV calibration system, a dial tuned by latitude, by diet, by generations of ancestors. Pale skin is not superior in any absolute biological sense. In Africa, pale skin was a dangerous, deadly disadvantage. Dark skin is not primitive or less evolved at all. It is the original human state, the ancestral baseline. Lighter skin is the newer variation, the later adaptation. The same indifferent sun drove opposite outcomes in different places. It pushed some ancestors toward more melanin for protection. It pushed others toward less melanin for vital vitamin D. The sun never chose sides, never held any preference. It simply radiated endlessly and let evolution sort the consequences. Humanity built centuries of prejudice around a vitamin D problem, around a calcium absorption issue and a folate protection mechanism. Human evolution has not stopped, though it moves slowly now. Modern life has softened these ancient pressures considerably today. Sunscreen, supplements, fortified food, indoor heating, year-round nutrition everywhere. We have partly decoupled skin biology from its original survival purpose. Where human skin drifts over the next 100,000 years, nobody knows. Evolution keeps no schedule and sends no warnings ahead. But one truth remains certain beyond any doubt today. Every skin tone alive right now traces back to Africa, to one dark-skinned population standing beneath an unforgiving equatorial sun. Their descendants scattered across an unpredictable, ever-changing planet over millennia, each carrying, written quietly into melanin, a record of survival, a record of every environment their ancestors fought to endure. Every shade of human skin is an answer to a question first asked by a star 93 million miles away. And maybe that is the real lesson hiding in our skin. We spent that inheritance building walls between each other instead. What if the very thing used to divide us for centuries is actually the clearest proof we all come from the same source?